And we're back.
So you're standing at this right-hand turning in the sewers. There's sort of like a channel in the corridor to the right, and it runs in front of you, and the water is running down the middle of this channel. And you smelt food, Breaker. You smelled like perhaps cooking food, very, very faintly, sort of on the air.
Okay, and so Breaker wanted to pace down the corridors to find where it was coming from, and you said it was coming from the right.
Yeah, so directly in front of you, the corridor only extends to about 5 feet from this junction, and the same to the left, and then it drops down. There's sort of two sumps where this channel is running, and this is dropping off basically through a small grate, maybe like a foot by foot sort of iron grate. I mean, if you wanted to, you could probably remove the grate and squeeze down there. But to your right, that's really the open corridor, and that is the direction from which the water is flowing to these grates. So you have a look to the corridor to your front and to the left, and like I said, you can look down if you want because you've got dark vision to 30 feet, I believe.
60
feet.
60 feet, right? Okay, so you have a look down these grates, and you can see the water just dropping off and hitting, another stream, probably about 10 feet down, and that's the same. So to the front and to the left. The corridor to the right, you can see quite far up the corridor, right at the very edge of your dark vision. There's sort of like a raised ledge over which this water pours.
And that's where the food smell's coming from.
It is.
I think Breaker starts trudging that way. He goes, food.
Okay, so yeah, you guys see Breaker like sloshing through this water to the right.
All right, follow.
Yep, follow.
So as you walk down this corridor, the air seems to be slightly more fresh, and you can't see above this ledge. So if you imagine the ledge over which this water pours is probably about 10 feet high. So if you're looking down the corridor, you actually can't see above it. You just see what looks like, a waterfall, and then like the ever so slightest amount of light just on the tip of that. So you keep walking down this corridor, and yeah, you essentially get to what amounts to a ledge over which this water flows.
And it's 10 feet high. There's no ladder or anything.
There's no ladder, no.
Breaker, can you give me a boost?
Sure.
Can Yuey asks, what do you plan to do? Let me help. So
Can you all please give me perceptions really quick?
Okay.
Oh god, you rolled it. I just saw that roll.
Yeah, the natural one.
Who did Breaker roll that?
Yeah.
What were you trying to do?
Trying to give Elias a boost.
Okay. And you got, if you want to roll your perceptions as well, please. So we
19.
21.
14 for Elias and Tanok.
So you see Breaker trying to give Elias a boost, and Yuey and Adair, as this is going on, it's really difficult to hear anything because you've got the sound of rushing water directly in front of you, so it's kind of dampening out any other noise. But you think that you hear hushed talking as Breaker is boosting Elias over this sort of ledge. Breaker, as you try and do that, your left foot slips from underneath you as soon as Elias puts his weight on your hands, and you basically fall on the back of your head, and Elias falls on top of you. Elias, can you roll me acrobatics, please? And actually, both give me acrobatics.
Yeah, 23. I'm nimble.
14.
Okay, that's fine. So this could have been bad, but it wasn't so bad. Elias, you darted away like a spider monkey. Breaker, you're okay, you're fine. It's a bit embarrassing.
Can we try that again?
Before you guys attempt another round, Adair sort of moves closer and tries to get your attention and indicates that she hears whispering. Well, so other people. So move with caution.
And Yuey says, before you try that again, let me help. I've got a spell that can help you. And I lay my hand, or Yuey lays his hand on Elias and casts guidance. So he mutters an divination incantation, and Elias, you have a D4 that you can roll and add to an ability check.
And before you continue, Adair does the same thing.
Oh, you've got that as well?
Yeah. Also, it's you.
So you can add now 2d4.
2d4. So whatever.
Okay, wow.
Okay. Thank you. I will attempt to do that again.
So Breaker, at this point you're soaking wet. You're like completely soaked. You're getting up out of this rushing water, and you see Adair and Yuey both walk over at the same time and put their hands on Elias. You are slightly perturbed.
Breaker just backs away slightly.
Okay. Breaker, you and Tanok, please. Help me up.
Breaker sheepishly walks over and gives it a try.
Wait, who's
Yeah.
lifting who?
Tanok and Breaker are gonna lift Elias.
Dylan, could you really quickly roll me a Constitution save for Tanok? I don't think that was done.
Yeah. 15.
So what exactly are you doing? You're both helping Breaker to get over this ledge.
Yeah.
Helping Elias.
Yeah, I want them to like basically put their hands together, let me like get on, and then they lift me up. And then I should be able to make it to the top of the thing and climb up.
Oh, then I think we actually give the guidance to Breaker.
Yeah, maybe
maybe
one to me and one to Breaker.
Yeah, we can do that. So I can give it to Yuey sort of apprehensively approaches Breaker and asks if he may.
I think Adair would probably
Really
do it because she
Oh, yeah?
already has like a repertoire with the Rubrum.
Okay. Yep.
So she goes up to Breaker tentatively and says, I offer some guidance. She first waits to see what Breaker's reaction is before she touches him.
So I think Breaker's getting in position with Tanag, and then Adair approaches and he looks like, huh? And then like his hands are locked with Tanag's to with the juice, and then you just go ahead and touch him, and he just looks at you.
I quickly say, Breaker, it's okay.
So
No,
at this point as well, so Adair and Yuey, I mean, you were stripped of your equipment before being thrown into this place. Just to describe your appearances, what does Elias actually look like? What does Breaker actually look like? What are you wearing? What is your outward appearance?
So Elias is wearing what was once good quality clothing, which has seen like it's got a bit of wear and tear now. Yeah. Otherwise,
What sort of armor do you have? What sort of equipment do you have? Because I don't think we went through that, right? Your
yeah.
outward appearance.
Okay, yeah. So he's got studded leather armor. You can see a couple of daggers on him, and he's got this weird lantern at his side. Is that lantern always burning? That green fire one?
It burns when you wield it.
Okay.
And how about Breaker?
Breaker looks quite shabby. Very shabby, in fact. He looks like he's wearing like the remains of a like a swashbuckler's outfit, the like signature boots, but they're completely worn and rough. Sailor's pants also, but like really ragged. Like you have to look closely past all the raggedness, and overcoat kind of thing. That bare chested, wild hair, and
So I
two
just wanted
massive
to.
horns and a tail. I keep forgetting about.
Oh yeah, the tail. Yeah, we always forget about that. So it's just to describe what you're approaching, Adair and Yuey, so you know what it looks like as you get close to it.
It's
So what are you doing? So is Elias being boosted over this ledge, right?
Yep.
And you're getting plus 2d. You're getting plus 1d4 each, right? So if you want to make the same rolls again, give me the rolls.
Okay, strength.
I'm going to be making some rolls as well.
What is this? Acrobatics.
So I got 14, but I mean 15, but then I add 1d4.
I think so.
Yeah.
Is that correct, Yuey and Adair?
Yeah.
Oh.
So you actually get to choose if you add it before or after you see the roll. So it's actually quite good. But it's
that's
like a
really good.
one-time use.
That's really good. Okay. So you got 15 on strength.
And plus 4, so Breaker got 19 altogether.
I got 12. My acrobatics.
And Yui's casting Dark Blessing.
Oh, sorry.
Fine. Okay, so that's enough. So just to square the circle in my head, so the person who is being boosted is Elias, so you will be going over the ledge, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so Elias, as you hoist yourself up over this ledge, you're boosted up by the others, you sort of hoist yourself over this ledge, you're met with a sight. A large cistern with a high vaulted ceiling that sort of narrows to many stone pillars. There's much water stored in this place, it seems, and there's a light from a small fire that sort of flickers off the surface of the water. You can hear soft murmurs at this point, the occasional chortle and the smell of food. In the center of this cistern is a round platform. It's a pretty large room, and you see figures congregated around the fire. Weapons and armor lie all around.
How many?
Can I make out the color of the armor? Like
You
that's
can.
blue and
Your
green.
passive perception is what?
14.
And you've got dark vision anyway, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, you see heraldic colors of blue and green.
Cool. How many soldiers do I see?
There is a fair amount of humanoid figures. You
Okay.
think at least a dozen.
How far away are they?
The system is rather large. If you go over to roll 20, I can show you now.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Sorry.
So they're away in the distance.
They are away in the distance. From where you are, probably 50 feet at least.
Okay. I would like to... Is there a pillar nearby that I'd be able to tie a rope around and then drop it over the side?
Yes, absolutely. Do you have rope?
Yeah, I've got 50 feet of rope.
More than enough.
So, I mean, you're just doing this overtly, right?
No, I'm going to do it stealthily.
Okay, well, make me the appropriate rolls, please.
I want to make an entrance.
Okay.
That's sucked. I got 9 stealth. And I've got plus 6 to stealth.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So you what did you get? You got a 9, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're kind of like splashing through the water. You've got your rope out. You're trying to be stealthy, but you think you see some figures looking in your direction.
Okay, I'm just gonna just come out and be like, "Hello, the fire." Wait, do I know what did the hunters used to say? Wait, they didn't have like a catchphrase or something. For the green and blue.
Okay, so you're saying for the green and blue.
Yeah.
Okay, that reverberates around the cistern and echoes off the ceiling and off the water and off these pillars. And you can see them starting to come over at a fairly swift-ish pace. And the rest of you see a rope dropping down over the ledge. And you, of course, hear what Elias said.
Breaker gonna go up first.
Breaker climbs up. Does that guidance still help, or is that over?
I think it's
I
just
think
per.
it's a one-time
Yeah.
thing.
I imagine that to be like backseat driving. Like,
Yep.
really put you back into it.
Yeah. So you know if both Yuey and Adair have guidance, it's just going to be like non-stop guidance, 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 like all the time. So it's just like a cantrip, so it's not even a spell set.
Whoa,
So you
Oh,
just
really?
do it like
that's
Yeah.
crazy.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's a perfect
just-
support spell.
yeah.
But I don't know how much Breaker can take of that.
Yeah.
Breaker climbs up the rope.
Okay, so I'm assuming you're all climbing up, right, and getting over this ledge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we
So,
all...
sorry, go on.
Oh no, I was gonna ask if we should all roll strength or something.
No, it's fine. I mean, they've thrown a rope over, so it's absolutely fine. Well, Elias says. So you're all at the top of this ledge, and you can see this sort of the room open up into the cistern, and these humanoid figures are coming over. Elias and Breaker, as these figures approach you, the one at the sort of head of the pack, you recognize in the dim light. You see a face, cheerful and round. A portly man dressed in a green and a blue tunic, and a wry smile crosses his face as he sees you. "He's my friends," he says enthusiastically, holding forth an extended hand. He says, "We're in need of your aid. But first, my friends, let's have drinks." And he shouts over to one of his comrades to bring drinks, but he looks rather suspiciously at Adair and Yuey. You can see him cast sort of a furtive gaze at yourselves, like very suspicious, like frown on his face, as if to say, "What is going on here?"
Adair ask what ale they have.
So he looks over at you and he pauses before he says, "And who might you be?"
Adair introduces herself. Says that I'm Evelyn Adair. I was thrown down this well, and I have just run into these other people.
And how about you? Who might you be?
Yes. So Yuey looks. He's just wearing this like a white, or used to be white, Roman tunic, which is now absolutely filthy with the muck of the dungeon, and he's holding this torch and the massive trident in one hand. So he says, likewise, I was thrown down the sewer by the new order, just trying to find our way out of here.
And yeah, Elias says their enemies are our enemies.
Elias and Breaker, so clearly friends of yours, new friends, I see. Victims of our benevolent dictator. To answer your question, Ms. Adair, we've got plenty of fine ales. Perhaps not the best under the circumstances, but there's always time for a drink. He shouts over, he says, "Gunnar, bring these adventurers some of the best ale." And this other chap comes over and he's like holding bottles of ale and various bits and pieces, and they kind of usher you into the center of the cistern with his food cooking. And they're all sort of like murmuring, gathered around. Can you all roll me perception, please?
Uh, 6 from Yuey.
Okay.
21 for Breaker.
16 for Elias.
7.
So
Adair's just honed in on the ale. Doesn't care about anything else.
So you've been approached by somebody familiar, Elias and Breaker.
That was Sparrows, right?
It is indeed. You recognize it to be Sparrows of the Hunters. So I suppose perhaps Adair and Yuey are a bit more tense in the situation. You're getting some really weird looks, some very suspicious looks. They perhaps even some have their hands on the hilts of their weapons. Elias and Breaker, you are much more relaxed in the situation, as you know Sparrows and you've met many of the hunters before. As you're being sort of ushered over to the center of this large cistern room where the food is cooking, and the sort of the smell of a hot meal fills your nostrils, you can overhear, the various sort of murmurs and conversations going on by these various members of the hunters, and you hear people whispering about, "Did you hear what happened with Hillway, the village of Hillway? What happened? A terrible thing, absolutely terrible."
Is that where Breaker and I were?
You recognize the name, indeed.
The Hillway.
Would Yuey know of Hillway? So he's from the west of Repoten. Was that in that area?
Well, it depends. It depends if Breaker and Elias say anything to you.
Yeah, Elias is going to speak up and say, yeah, we were there. We fought some of the brigands responsible.
So you're saying this to Yuey, right? Yuey, you've not heard this at this point, right? You've not, like, the only people to overhear these conversations were Breaker and Elias.
Oh, okay. I thought Yuey had overheard it as well. That's why I asked. Okay.
Yeah, so I say that to the soldiers talking about it.
So what exactly are you saying?
I'm starting a conversation with them.
Yeah, Breaker and I were there. We fought some of the brigands responsible. We tracked them for a bit.
You were there at the village of Hillway?
Yeah.
What? Tell us a bit. What happened?
So I tell them the story. That there were a group of brigands dressed up as who are those? No.
And Yuey and Adair, are you? Because I mean, you're kind of being led to the center of the cistern, right? So, Elias, this conversation's happening kind of on the side. So you're kind of breaking off from the group to go talk to these soldiers. Are you going, Yuey and Adair and Breaker? Are you going with? Are you following Elias just to like mingle?
Breaker's gonna go straight to Sparrows and say, "It was thirsty work getting to you. Where's that ale?"
Yeah, Adair also follows and just is very interested in the ale and nothing else.
I think Yuey would follow Elias at this point.
Okay.
And
So-
Breaker also says, "Relax. If they're spies, they'll show themselves after a few drinks."
Sparrows says to you, fair enough, mate. He starts drinking away with you. So, should we resolve the conversation with Elias and Yuey? So you're telling the story, right, Elias? So
Yeah. So we arrived at the end of the battle. All the villages had been taken, the ones that hadn't been killed, and we mopped up a few of the brigands and tracked down the larger group. And I think I've still got like a piece of the material with that symbol on that I got from one of the those armbands. So I'm gonna pull that out.
So this village of Hillway, it is indeed from the province that you are from, Yuey, and it is indeed known to you, and it is known to you because you had many family members in this village. That's why you recognize the name as soon as this conversation starts.
Yeah. So you immediately then picks up on when Hillway is mentioned, and he's very keen for news. So he speaks up. Elias, tell me more. Is Hillway okay? What happened?
Did you know anyone there?
I have. And he sort of looks down. I have family in Hillway.
And this is hard for Elias. He puts his hand on Yuey's shoulder and says, "I'm sorry, we did what we could. There were too many of them. They took everyone as slaves. Another direction that they were heading. I'm sorry, there were just too many of them.
What do you mean, everyone?
There's no one left in the village. Everyone who wasn't killed was taken."
So you sort of can't sort of understand this, and he sort of just he turns away in sort of shocked silence.
So at this, the sort of soldiers' faces just kind of drop, and they're not talking anymore. They just like put their heads down, and they seem to be a bit solemn at this.
So at this point, yeah, so I take out the armband and I say that they were dressed up as who are they called again? I can't remember that nation to the north.
So you find a symbol, correct?
Yeah. It was like the tribes to the north.
Indeed. So the symbol that you found on these brigands was the symbol of the Sharplin people.
Yeah, that's it.
Who are the
Was
people?
that Sharplin?
Yeah,
people?
Sharplin.
Yeah.
And that is the people who the Dominion are currently at war with. That is the conflict that is currently raging on the frontier.
Yeah. So I want to tell the soldiers what Elias believes, that he doesn't think that it was Sharpens. He thinks that it was mercenaries dressed up as Sharpens. I believe they were mercenaries hired by Mercator.
So I think Huey might perk up at that, and he would say that does sound reasonable. That he hasn't known the Sharplins to raid and take slaves from villages. That doesn't sound like the Sharplins, maybe.
So
think-
Yuey is very educated, right?
Yeah.
So you can make me, what's the 5th edition equivalent of edu? So make me perhaps a history.
Yeah. 9.
What is your intelligence?
It's 12.
So exactly what are you trying to find out? What piece of information? What's the question you're asking exactly?
So you is just sort of trying to process what Elias is saying, that it's maybe not the Sharplin, that it's potentially mercenaries. So he's trying to suss out the would Sharplin like raid and take slaves from a village, or does that sound like something? Does it make sense that would be Mercator doing that kind of activity?
So it would. You think that it would be unusual for Sharplin
Yeah.
fighters to be this far within the Dominion. So I can show you if you have a look at Roll20. So we're in the city of Rupertum, right? So if I just ping on the map there. So the village of Hillway is over to the west. I mean, it's off this map. If you just if you go a whole map to the west, that's where the frontier is. I can share a full world map, but it's very far away. The frontier where the fighting is going on. So you think it might be a little bit odd that they would be Sharplin fighters this far within the Dominion?
Yep.
That's sort of all you kind of realize.
Okay.
I want to ask Sparix if he's got a plan. What's his next move?
Breaker hands a drink to Elias.
And Elias nods his thanks.
Adair also asks the leader who he is and what their cause is, because Adair doesn't know anything about them at this point.
Okay, so let's do this one at a time. So, Elias, you're breaking off from where you were speaking to these other soldiers, and you're going to the center of the room where you see Breaker and Adair at the moment. Ale in hand. Yuey, what are you doing at this time?
So I think I'm still trying to process the information. So I might be asking the soldiers for more information about what happened at Hillway. If they know anything more than what was shared, because this is like Yuey's like potentially family might be in danger. So he's desperate to find out anything more.
Okay, so the symbol, just to remind you, Elias, the symbol that you find, if you have a look at Roll20 at the moment, that is the symbol that these attackers were wearing.
Yeah.
So what exactly are you trying to ask of these soldiers? So be specific, Yuey. So what is the question that you're saying in character?
But I guess more of the information was from Elias, right? Because he was there and these soldiers weren't. So I think he might actually be trying to ask Elias how he knows that they weren't the Sharplin, and where they might have taken the civilians.
Yeah. It was too deliberate. They were too far inland, I think, to be Sharplin warriors. They couldn't have gone that far inland, and it was just too obvious. Everyone wearing these symbols.
But you said they took slaves, so they might still be alive.
Yeah. There weren't a lot of dead villages. Most of them had been taken as slaves.
Which way did they go?
So Breaker and Elias tracked them down. If I remember correctly, we were like on a cliff looking down, and we could see the whole group moving. So Elias and Breaker would have seen the direction that they were heading in.
But didn't we see a pile of bodies at the end of a cliff? They got marched off.
What? That's not how I remember it.
That's how I remember it.
So you followed the spoor north of the village to that cliff, right?
Yeah.
And you saw at that time that there were many of the villagers that had been cast off the cliff and dashed on the rocks below.
Oh gosh.
Do you relay that information to Yuey or not?
Are you by Breaker now? Speaking about it.
Yeah,
So I think he fills in the details. You say like they took the slaves and they were let off. And Breaker butts in, yeah, let off a cliff.
So Yuey is he's absolutely shattered by this. It looks like the color drains out of his face. Those bastards.
Breaker hands him a drink.
So Yuey, like shakingly, he takes the tankard, like takes a couple of gulps.
So you this is all going on around the center of the cistern now, right? You basically regrouped in the center of this room. So Sparax can see this all going on, and again, he looks quite solemn at this. The sort of, the cheerfulness that was initially, expressed on his face has kind of turned to more to sternness. And did you say this in the Elias? You said all of these things within earshot of Sparrows, correct?
Yeah.
So he looks at you all and he says, "They say that senators were assassinated by the Sharpland. Something is not right here. Battalion has passed word to find out what happened. And we need to know who's behind this. We think this faceless one is just a puppet. Someone or something is pulling the strings. And already they must be seeking us out. We are known to them, and this is why we need you."
What do you need us to do?
He's like looking around, a little bit disappointed. Perhaps he wanted to keep drinking, but you know the weight of the situation and the gravity of the situation is thus that he's sort of expressing himself at this time. So he looks down and he thinks for a moment, and he looks back up and says, "Our agents have said that one of the regional governors has relocated closer to Rupertum. And we think this timing cannot be a coincidence."
Which governor?
The governor from Altirum.
Altirum, that's the city that we visited before.
Yeah. Wait, what happened? The governor has moved to Rupertum from Altirum, or other way around?
You're asking Sparaxus?
No, just relay what he said. Sorry.
So he said that one of the regional governors relocated closer to Rupertum. And he's saying that timing can't be a coincidence. Before this large incident happened in the city. And he said it was the governor from Altirum.
I knew they couldn't be trusted.
Would Yuey, being sort of a citizen of the Dominion, and know more about like the relationship between Altirum and Rupertum? Like this sort of regional governor moving from Altirum closer to Rupertum, what does that mean?
So what province are you from again, Yuey?
It was the one just west of Rupertum. Sorry, I can't remember what it was called. But he's been studying in Rupertum for like 6 to 8 years at this point.
Okay.
Yes, if you have bigger map here.
Yeah, I'm just literally on Roll20. I'm just dragging this out here. So this is the hand-drawn map, but you can have a look at this.
Yes,
so Yuey, it's the province of Elias, correct?
Yes, it is.
Give me a moment to just let the quality upscale. It's like really low for me. There we go. Proceed.
So you are from the province of Elias. You are very familiar with the city of Altirum. And Elias is speaking about how they visited the city before. The city of Altirum, a long time ago, and the province of Rolias rebelled against the Dominion a very long time ago. Rolias used to be ruled by kings, which have since been deposed, and Rolias has been as a province has been incorporated into the Dominion and is very much under the influence of the Dominion. But yes, Altirum is the capital city of the province of Rolias.
So can you ask of Sparax who this regional governor is and why he thinks that he would be involved in this plot?
So he says We think that his name is Fimbria, the governor, and his entourage. Usually a governor wouldn't relocate, wouldn't move. But there's been a lot of, let's just say, toing and froing prior to Mercator the Faceless coming to power in the Dominion.
Didn't we do work for Fimbria, Elias?
Yeah, I think we did. Is he the one that tasked us with checking out that cemetery?
Cemetery, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying this all out loud, right? So Yuey
Yeah.
and Adair, you can hear these guys talking with us.
Hmm.
What task did you perform for him in the cemetery?
Alterum's been having problems with undead coming back. The governor sent us to have a look in the tomb.
Mm-hmm.
It was an ancient king's tomb was disturbed by some slime. And we fixed it.
And wasn't there a ghost?
And a ghost. We sent word back to the Dominion reporting on what was happening. Alterum claimed it was an ongoing, but I always suspected they had something to do with it. Perhaps it's not a coincidence.
I think you might be right.
So what's the plan, Sparix? Investigate Fimbria. Maybe we can speak to him since we've worked for him before.
He takes
Maybe.
a sip of his beer. We will be working to undermine this tyrant, this Mercator the Faceless. We will be working to turn the people against him and to foment discontent. We know, or at least we think, that Fimbria is at the fort of Grathmar, but we don't know the exact location. Our spies only followed him so far. As he says that, do you want to roll me, Yuey, do you want to roll me a history, please?
Sure. 7.
Okay. So you recognize, as he says, the fort of Grathmar. You recognize the name Grathmar. You think you might have heard it somewhere in your studies before, but you don't know. And then, after a pause, Sparix says, "Gentlemen and lady, we are forming somewhat of a rebellion. Vitalian himself has sent word to us to carry out these tasks. Will you join us? Will you join with the hunters and help us?"
And I hold up my arm to Sparix and I say, "We never left."
He returns a firm handshake.
Anything to bring down the Dominion.
Yuey says, if it will help me save the people of Hillway and bring down Mercator, then you can count on me.
Wouldn't it more be, aren't they already dead?
avenge them.
Wouldn't it be more like avenge them? If,
Did all of them get smashed, or was it? Sorry, not sure.
Choice of words get smashed.
Yeah,
Please.
I think Yuey still holds out hope that not all of them would have perished, so he wouldn't accept that they're all gone.
Well, I suppose the situation that Breaker and Elias were in was, I mean, there were footsteps leading away, right? There was that scene near the village, and then there was just footsteps leading away. So
Yes, so I think
Question mark,
Yuey holds out hope that there might be survivors.
so is it Fimbar?
Fimbria.
Fimbria was the name.
Fimbria.
Mhm.
So was he suspected of being involved in bringing up the dead, raising the dead, or whatever?
He asked us to like destroy the ghost. I think it was like the ghost of a old ruler or something.
But were there any sort of because I'm just trying to figure out what Adair's motivation would be to actually help out, because at this point, like, she doesn't believe in ideals, but if there's anything that unnatural that they're up to, she would be very keen to stop anything like that.
Well, I suppose, how long ago did you come to the city of Rupertum, Adair?
Very recently.
And you were arrested and accused of being a member of the Nadra Guild.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So, you want to roll me a history?
Sure. Six.
Well, at the very least, you know that the Dominion is very much counter to your ideals, without giving any details.
I guess I'll blindly go along.
At least till you get yourself.
There's a I'll stick with you guys at least for the ale.
So, with this, you see Sparax motioning to one of his comrades, and they bring over a roll of equipment, an equipment roll, and they roll it out on this platform before you. There's a collection of long daggers, long black daggers. If you have a look at roll 20, they look like this.
Is it like a stiletto?
And he also produces a number of medallions, like the medallion that you found before. And he says to you, these are the symbols that we use to identify ourselves. Move very carefully in the city above and in the provinces. They are undoubtedly trying to seek us. We don't know exactly where this fort is, where exactly Fimbria is, but we have allies in the city. Visit Grom of Grom's Antiques. He is one of our allies. He knows more. And he also produces coin purses. You can hear the sort of clinking of coin echoing throughout the cistern, and he hands you coin purses.
Fantastic.
How much gold?
So you're going to open the coin purses and count?
Yeah, or just sort of feel, is that like a substantial, or is that like a low
I mean,
amount?
it's heavy and it feels like coin. You know, sort of that size. You want to try and estimate
Yeah.
anywhere from, in terms of coins, anywhere from like 30 to 60.
Okay.
Adair doesn't care. She opens it up and counts.
Okay. Yeah, so there's about 50 denarii each.
Okay.
That's the silver piece.
Indeed. So just for the information of new players, the standard currency within the Dominion is known as denarii. That is essentially silver pieces. So how in Dungeons and Dragons you'd normally count things in gold pieces, everything is counted in silver pieces instead of gold. So it's the equivalent.
Oh, okay. So if we see something in like the player's handbook, that's like 10 gold pieces. That's like 10 silver pieces, or 10.
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And for any prices or whatever, we've got the campaign guide, which is obviously available, but we can go over that if you make any purchases. But yes, so he hands you these coin purses, which each have 50 denarii in. And he insists once again, or he poses the question. He says, "Do we have a deal? Are you joining us? Will you help?"